Content warning. The stories and themes shared throughout this podcast may contain themes that can be distressing for you. If needed, please pause and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. If needed, please reach out to a mental health professional for support.
Welcome back to another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana, but hold the Alana. And we have Jenn Fredericks, actually. And I am so excited to chat with her because she has overcome a lot. She's overcome immense adversity and has emerged as a beacon of resilience and hope for others. Her experience as a patient with a life-threatening chronic illness spanning 3 decades and caregiver for her daughter with a life-threatening diagnosis. I said threatening, but I meant threatening.
Yeah.
Caregiver for her daughter with a life-threatening diagnosis speaks volumes about her strength, determination, and compassion. She's a personal resilience practitioner, and get this, a prosilience coach. And I can't wait to dive into that because I didn't know about that until I met you. She guides her clients towards a new perspective on life. Her approach of cultivating self-awareness while honoring the struggles and triumphs in life builds a foundation to create renewed vitality, inner calm, and joy in life. I'm so honored to have you here today, Jenn. Hello.
Thank you so much for having me. I am likewise just as honored, if not more, to be speaking with you today.
And what I love about the internet, you're in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I'm in British Columbia. Those places are very far apart.
Very.
But we're both in sweaters because we're cold.
Yes. Yes.
You have a daughter who was diagnosed with a brain tumor. You have struggled with your own health stuff. We just talked about this offline, but I was like trying to do the math because you've had 2 kidney transplants, but you're on your 4th kidney. Let's go down the rabbit hole of your story. Let's go
Sure.
into maybe let's start with you and your health, and then we'll transition to your daughter.
Cool. Yeah, it's so interesting to be sharing about it because it's just normal life to me. And I'm very grateful that I'm able to use it now to support people. But when I was in middle school, I was just sickly. Just tired all the time. I'd go from strep throat to mono to walking pneumonia to hibbity-doo, whatever it was. And then as I got into like my teen years, it just wouldn't go away. And doctors didn't really know what was going on. Finally was diagnosed with chronic kidney disease due to nothing genetic, but apparently a case of strep throat ran rampant. Maybe I didn't know I had it and it wasn't treated or whatever, and it affected my kidneys. And so I lost both of my kidneys that I was born with. So they're the first 2 kidneys. Bye, out the door.
Yeah.
And 1 kidney, hi, from my dad. When I was 16, he was
your
my
dad?
first donor. My dad.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
So special daughter-father bonds, right? Yeah. And that kidney lasted me 18 years. So grateful for that. I got to do all of the quote unquote normal kid things and teenage things and young adult things in college, and met my husband in school. We got married, got a house, had our jobs, decided to adopt a daughter because with a kidney transplant, I needed to adopt. And I didn't want to put my life at risk or a child's life at risk with all the medications I'm still on. And then when she was 4, that kidney said, bye.
Bye.
Bye. And it just had run its course. And I was very lucky that my husband's fraternal twin brother was my second donor. Yeah. And we're 12 years.
Your husband couldn't be the donor?
He couldn't. No, they're fraternal twins, so they have different blood types. And so his brother was a better match for me. So hi to my brother-in-law's kidney. I'm like, you grew up with a twin brother and now like he's still here with us all the time. Like,
oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. So we're 12 years out from that transplant and it's treating me really well. Just had my recent labs and all the numbers are good. And my daughter was 4 when I had that transplant. And it was difficult, but having been through it before, I could kind of prep her as well as my husband, and a great support system with friends. And my mom and dad they live in Texas, so they flew up here to Wisconsin to help us out at that time. And everything was going along merrily. And my daughter then just was not doing real well, end of kindergarten into first grade. And turns out, yeah, brain tumor. Like I literally, we were tracking headaches, all of those sorts of things. And I finally was getting her to the neurologist. My husband was out of town for work. She was so sick to her stomach that the neurologist said, well, you have to get her nausea under control so we can actually evaluate her. And I was like, why do you think I'm here? That's why I'm here. But they sent us to finally get a CT scan. And I called my husband from the neurologist to the CT place. And I even said, like, it's like not like I'm expecting a tumor. I'm pretty sure we'll get the all clear, and then we'll go and get her some migraine meds, and then we'll go back to it was a tumor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
And how is your daughter now?
so she's doing well. She's 16. She lives with the tumor. It's not one that can be fully resected or taken out. So there are a lot of comorbidities and things that we manage along with it. She's currently paused on treatment. So treatment right now is a watch and wait protocol with MRIs. And then should it start to change or cause her symptoms of any kind, then we would look at the next line of treatment. But she, 16, sophomore in high school, went to homecoming with friends this fall, and she is just the sweetest thing and has a gold heart. She always has. And I don't know, I always talk about the idea that we all were meant to be together.
Mm-hmm.
Yet I couldn't bring her soul into the world. And so universe, God found a way to bring us together. And that was through adoption, so that she could help us learn and we could support her, and I could use my navigation of the medical system to not be a deer in the headlights right away at her diagnosis. She's just a joy. Yeah.
That's really, really special. And I mean, I can't imagine while you were navigating the health stuff and having your daughter have her brain tumor, like
Mhm.
how did you juggle all of that?
Not as well as I thought I would, actually. 3 decades, and I had managed my health crises, very well. I thought I had it all together, and it's different when it's someone that you love, you know, walking beside you, and rather it just being you. And so I actually pretty much did the whole thing we hear about with resilience, where you fall down. I fell down hard about a year after her diagnosis, as she was trying to process the medical trauma, with the emotional and behavioral changes that she was experiencing. And as an 8-year-old, like, she had 3 brain surgeries in a week. Like, what do you do? What do you do? We had great support. Child life specialists at the Children's Hospital would help support us. Mental health professionals, all of those things, but it wasn't quite enough, or maybe it wasn't sinking in for me. And yeah, I hit it hard. I hit it
Yeah.
hard.
And what did falling down look like
What did that
for
look
you?
like?
Yeah, tell like how, yeah, like because that looks
Yeah,
different for everyone. And I
it
think like
does.
I think it'd be really good to maybe just talk about like because you're trying to hold it all together and then you hit a bottom.
Right.
What was that like? Like how did you know that was your bottom and how did you get out of it?
Well, first, I felt like this inside all the time, just like shaking and everything moving all around and bumping into each other. And I couldn't quite do anything or stay focused. The anxiety, physically manifested. I couldn't eat without being in pain and fetal position on the bed. I dropped down to 100 pounds. I was short-tempered. I I punched walls. I punched walls.
Yeah, so you had a very short fuse.
Short fuse. No, I had no idea about boundaries or awareness or energy absorption. None of those things until, get this, I was laid off from my corporate and agency marketing career that I'd had for 16 years. And somewhere I got the cockamamie idea, hey, maybe I'll be a life coach. I had never been to a coaching session. I don't know where I heard about it, but it was one of those like, ah. And once I started that and also signed up for a mindfulness-based stress reduction course, because I had remembered during my second transplant, I was starting to feel some of that anxiety because I had so much more riding on the transplant working out than I did when I was a teenager, that I did do some medical meditations and guided imagery. And so I went down that route, MBSR, life coach certification. I breathed for 3 months. That, like, my first 3 months of certification. Yeah, I was learning all of the stuff, but what I really took away from it was to get that jittery motion inside of me to slow down. I needed to breathe and learn to be present and learn to not be on the hamster wheel of life anymore, and be able to align and ground with the present moment.
And as soon as you did that, I mean, as someone who like hit a few rock bottoms of like
Mhm.
not being able to manage it all, as soon as you start putting attention on your mental health, your physical health, your nervous system,
Mhm.
when you really start paying attention to healing it, and there's no overnight fix, but all these little things that you do together is what leads you to this place of bouncing forward, this place of
Mhm.
resilience.
Mhm.
And I think that's really great that you got that. Is that how you got into the world of prosilience? Like, what's prosilience? Let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
okay. So as I was going through general life coaching certification, and I contracted with the company for about 7 years doing that, people kept asking, and through all of my daughters, you know, setbacks, different protocols, all those sorts of things. How are you so resilient? I couldn't answer them. I didn't know. I couldn't like pinpoint it. I didn't know how I did it through my first transplant either. So I started to research it more. I kind of knew that's the route I wanted to take, but I really wanted to understand it. I researched resilience and compassion fatigue and compassion resilience. And in that research, I ran across a book called Prosilience, or Proactive Resilience, by an industrial and organizational psychologist named Linda Hoops. And she studied resilience for 30 years. And so I'm reading this book. It's like, holy crap. She's been following me around since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
It was like these 4 building blocks of resilience that she laid out in the book, the framework. It's like, that's what I do. But I didn't have language for it. And I didn't have a way to say to people, this will work. And so I'm very grateful that I ran across that book, and also her organization, Resilience Alliance, that then also offers personal resilience training and also team synergy training to take this work into businesses and corporations. But I took that work and adapted it to support family caregivers and chronic illness patients, because one, I was like, patients need this. We
Yeah.
have wonderful support, in the professional sense, and sometimes yet it's not enough.
Yeah. I mean, this is really important work. And a proactive approach to resilience is also extremely important because like we are all resilient, but do we have the tools we need, or are we aware that we can access the tools we need to be resilient?
Right. And
Right.
we can use life as our gym. The actual definition Linda uses is intentionally building your capability to deal with life's challenges before you encounter them.
I love that. So that's just like what I talk about, which is how to
Mhm.
strengthen your resilience muscle
Yeah.
and like the things you do. And I love that because we're not born into this like magical kingdom where nothing bad happens. Like we are all going to be faced with challenges and
Mhm.
adversity. So what if someone works with you or me or someone who can help them with prosilience or strengthening their resilience muscles? So when life does get hard, they have
Mhm.
the tools they need, they have the strength they need. And I mean, you've literally been through it. Like you
Mhm.
didn't wake up one day and be like, I'm gonna, be this coach. Like you went through it. You went through the ringer.
Yeah. You know, it's still something that I'm working on to recognize that as enough to provide this service and to provide this expertise. Because I grew up, you study and you research and you earn a degree and you get a, da da da, and
Yeah.
that's how you earn the qualifications to be in a certain position or to have a certain job. And it's taken quite a few years for me to realize that. That's why it took so long for me to step away from general coaching and focus on this, because I'm like,
Yeah.
but who am I? I don't have a psychology degree. I don't blah, 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 blah. But I have 3 decades of lived wisdom and expertise and empathy and understanding that I can bring to the people that I work with. And every once in a while, I still have to remind myself of that.
Yeah. Well, you do. I think that's the thing is, yes, you can go to school and become a psychologist or a doctor or whatever it is that you want to do. But there are so many different people and organizations out there with so many different needs.
Mhm.
And what a coach offers is different than what a therapist offers,
True.
right?
Yes, very
And
much so.
yeah, and not only the training you have, but the life experience is
Mm.
what elevates what you do and separates you from everyone else. And I think it's really important work. So you just remember you're a badass and you're a badass and you definitely deserve to be right where you are with your your husband, your brother-in-law's kidney.
Yeah.
And I think this is a good place to talk about. You have a gift for everyone. It's you can't self-care your way out of caregiver burnout. Tell us a bit about that.
Right. So it actually focuses on my favorite prosilience building block, which is learning to manage your personal energy. One, I just love energy. Like, talk to me about energy work all day. I can feel energy. I go into a room, I can read energy. I All of that kind of stuff. Very woo, very hippie. I love it. And this stuff is scientifically based. This talking about how it's a strategic resource,
Hmm.
energy is that we can protect and we can manage and we can build and we can replenish, and it is needed to fuel our resilience muscle. Or in Prosilience we talk about resilience muscles. So when we can focus on identifying our 4 personal energies: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and how they support us. Take a look at where we might be drained or depleted in those so that we're not being able to fuel our resilience. Plug that leak and then fill it back. We actually can access our resilience. So that's what this gift talks about. It talks a little bit about that. It gives you some ideas of how to recognize which energy might be depleted, some ways to plug a leak, and then things that you can start to do to replenish so that you can have access. And you know, it's going to fluctuate. Like, we were
Yeah,
just talking about
yeah.
the seasons, right? So
Yeah.
it's a thing to be aware of and to just work it into your daily routine and to have it be a part of your DNA. And so that's why I'm excited to share that idea and some of those tips with people.
Yeah, I think that's really great. So you can get the gift in the show notes. Her social media links are there. You can dive into the world of Jenn. She's absolutely amazing, super inspirational. She's also in our current book, which is Resilient AF, Stories of Resilience Volume 2. Most recently graced the billboard of Times Square. And I got the pleasure of meeting her in person.
I was
Um,
like, is this real life?
is this real life? Is it just
Fantasy. Yeah,
fantasy?
exactly.
Um, so you went through a lot of things,
Hmm.
like, your health stuff for 3 decades plus, your
Yeah.
daughters, and everything in between. And I want you to share some advice for someone who's going through something similar, but maybe we can focus in on something or a piece of advice that's really resonating for you, maybe for that person who's hit the rock bottom.
Yes. So, one thing I want to say, and I also want to say it from recognition that people may not have the energy right now to understand it,
Hmm.
but the idea that you don't have to wait for things to be better to live better. Sort of like, we have choices in life despite our life circumstances. The choice is how we show up.
Hmm.
I recognize, and I'm sure a lot of your listeners do too, that this isn't a dress rehearsal. We have one go around at this. I'm like a cat. I'm on like what? My fourth
Kidney
life.
4, life 5.
Kidney for life. Who knows?
Yeah.
I just really want people to be able to recognize that you can live better even when you've been dealt a shit hand. You can feel crappy for a while, but please don't stay there.
Please
Like
don't.
allow the suck, but then find the little glimmers that can help you enjoy the life that we're here to live.
Amen. I love that. Find the glimmers. That's the opposite of triggers. The little things that bring you joy. They're
Yes,
there.
they are. Like when
They're
I was in the hospital with my daughter for a month after a partial tumor resection on New Year's Eve of 2020, uh, it was a Coke at lunch. Like that was my glimmer.
quenched that thirst.
Quenched. Yeah.
You're such an inspiration, Jen. So thank you for taking the time to share part of your story with us today on our podcast.
I it was my pleasure. I'm so excited to have had this conversation.
Yes, this is amazing. And thank you to everyone who tuned in for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana and Jen, but no Alana today. We come to your ears every Tuesday. Know that you don't have to go through life alone, especially the hard stuff. It's okay to not be okay. Pull yourself off that floor, look for those glimmers, and know that we are that lighthouse in the storm for you. We'll hold your hand through the thick of it, through the thin of it, the good times and the bad. And just know that you are resilient AF. That's a wrap for another episode of Resilient AF with Blair and Alana. And thank you for listening. Are you feeling inspired to bounce forward?
Let's connect at theglobalresilienceproject.com, where you can read many stories of resilience, buy our books, shop our clothing line, learn more about how to strengthen your resilience muscle, be empowered, and more.
Remember, friends, you are resilient AF.